Gambling is a $12 billion industry that is technically illegal, even though millions play poker and other games online. New bills in Congress propose to ban it outright. Others say prohibition will never work and regulation is the way to go. So place your bets, so to speak. Online betting, legal or illegal? Joining me now, Frank Catania, president of Catania Consulting Group and former director of the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement, and Ed Looney, executive director of the Council on Compulsive Gambling. Gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
Frank, let me start with you. Just taking a sampling of people, most people do bet, but they bet online through offshore accounts. Why is it still illegal in the United States?
Well, the United States is going the opposite way than the rest of the world, and the proponents of the bills that are in Washington are saying that it's a Wild West and these aren't regulated. That's not true. These sites are regulated. They come from jurisdictions like Gibraltar, Malta, Albany, the Isle of Man, Philippines, the Mohawks up in Canada, Ganawagi. So they are regulated, and people just want to be online and be able to gamble. It's a form of entertainment.
So
you go to Atlantic City, same thing.
Well, not this week, but maybe next week.
That's right. It shouldn't be the same thing as Atlantic City.
That's right.
This week.
Ed, what about legalizing it at this point? How will that either help or hurt those people who have issues with gambling?
Well, we know that compulsive gambling is a major health problem in America now. We have a growing problem with internet gambling, which is a $12 billion business. It's going to be a $20 billion business, and it's totally illegal. The idea we have to now make a decision whether we're going to regulate it and maybe allow the states to make the decision whether to have it or not have it. Mm-hmm. We go to high schools and colleges every year. We visit. We see what's happening on the college campuses. These are young kids with 18 years old getting in online on internet gambling, and they're destroying themselves. It's the 80-15-5 rule. 80% of the kids and people can gamble normally and have a fun with gambling. 20% of the people, however, have problems with gambling, and 5% become addicted. So we're very concerned when you open up gambling, because it's a sensitive product. That's why we regulate it. That's why we have age limits. When we have internet gambling, when there's no regulation and it's at the touch of a key where some people can get involved in it, and we have many instances of where kids have been destroyed financially, accidentally illegal activity in order to support the gambling. So we need to look at that in a much more healthy way. You have to have regulation. You have to have, and we're not getting that. And I think that's one of the main things. All these sites are totally illegal. They should really, if they were really players, maybe not do anything in the United States. Block out that site until we get that regulation in.
But Frank, there are those who say that, this type of, that gambling is like water. It will go where it wants to go. In other words, even if it's not legal here in the United States, you simply go offshore. So why not make it legal, then regulate it, and bring in the revenue?
Sue, I agree with you. What has to happen, prohibition will never work. It didn't work in the 1920s with alcohol. All it did was spawn the growth of organized crime. In this case, I disagree with Ed. They are regulated. I mean, they're regulated by the jurisdictions that they're operating out of.
Britain is a perfect example.
UK is going to be online. They're going to be regulated. They're going to take bets from the U.S., and, there's not going to be any stopping these people. There's no way a prohibition is going to stop someone from going online and betting with a company that's located in UK or Malta or Gibraltar. And what we want to see is these areas, these jurisdictions are regulating it. What the United States should be doing is they should be looking at regulating. I mean, the United States probably has the best gaming regulators in the world. In the states, not the federal government, and although the National Indian Gaming Commission does a good job of overseeing the Indian gaming in the United States. Leave it up to the states. This is a right that states have always had to decide whether or not they wanted to have gambling in their jurisdictions. Two states decided they want no gambling in their jurisdiction, Hawaii and Utah. So don't allow it. The states that want it should be allowed to regulate it, and the states that don't want it should be allowed to prohibit it.
Ed, one of the issues with internet gambling and whether or not to make it legal here in the United States, the proponents of making it legal in the United States say that to make it illegal, then, you look at horse racing, which has an exemption. You look at poker wants to get an exemption. You look at other types of gambling and gaming here in the United States, and they have the exception. So why not simply make it legal at this point, and make it an even playing field?
Yeah, I think in the long run, that's exactly what's going to happen. I think that each state will have the right to make those decisions. But if you look at some of the people that we get, we had our first shut-in 5 years ago where a lady lost $118,000, her life savings on internet gambling. She was a lady that her whole life was just looking at on the TV and doing internet gambling, and she won $10,000 the first week, and she thought she was in heaven. 17 months later, $118,000 gone. I mean, these are some of the cases that we're seeing. So we know that there's a tremendous issue for people who have problems with gambling.
And do you think that issue will then be increased if it's legalized here in the United States? Because they can still access it just by going to an account that's outside of the United States, for instance, Malta or the UK or Antigua, something like that. I mean, what would make it different if it was...
What they should do is prevention education programs. There's nothing in high schools anywhere about kids about gambling. They don't have anything at all. Put some funds in for prevention education for the kids like that, also for treatment. People in that desperation stages need treatment. These are people that are in desperate state. They haven't got any money and they're needing treatment. Thank God in New Jersey we have 9 treatment programs in the state of New Jersey. We give free treatment. Other states don't have that availability to do that. So if we're going to have this type of gambling, let's regulate it. Let's put some prevention education programs together, and let's make sure that these other providers of these sites are doing the right thing. A lot of them are, not really doing the right thing. They don't have responsible gaming programs. Some do. And Frank's group does do a lot of stuff like that, but there's a lot of groups that aren't doing it. So let's regulate it if we're going to do it. But the idea is, let's get set prevention education programs are available.
Gentlemen, thank you very much, both for your perspective. We appreciate your coming in. Frank Catena of Catena Consulting Group and Ed Looney of the Council on Compulsive Gambling. Bill?